Welcome into what will become the Devon A. Shane podcast.
I'm just so sick and tired. I'm hanging on a wire, a foot over the fire, and it's burning. I can feel it inside. Done with the same cliche, done with the day after day. There's got to be a way. Now is the time to break the tie. I'll live, I'll die for what is wrong and what is right. I'll take the pain for all the ones without a name. To be invincible, we'll be invincible. To be invincible, we'll be
Oh, yeah. Welcome into the Sunday live stream with the Fantasy Football Joker. I'm here to answer all the questions for start sets. Let's just go close this curtain. Ooh. Been a minute. I forgot I took the AC out. I'm so used to it being there. So yeah, jump right into today's questions because holy shit, there are a lot of them. First of all, actually, before I even get into a lot of these questions, I'm gonna say, start Devon A. Shane over everybody else, basically. So right off the bat, I'm just responding, letting some people know to come join in on the stream. But the first question of the day, start to Jerome Ford, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, or Devin Singletary. And I was just responding. I said, Ford and probably Singletary. It's so gross. Lol. And then the person asked, gross? And I was like, yeah, to start Singletary over Aaron Jones is gross. But it's probably the right answer. We're definitely at the point of the season where you need to take the name off the back of the jersey to a certain degree. Because if there's ever been a year where, just blindly starting your studs ain't it, I think this might be one. So, yeah, I think I would start Devin Singletary with that matchup and that backfield to himself after what we saw last week over Aaron Jones. Devon A. Shane or Jahan Dotson. So basically, every Devon A. Shane question today is start Devon A. Shane. Because if you get 0 points, it was still the right answer because none of the other players that you're probably starting have the propensity to go out and crush a 40-point game for you. So, yeah, I'm starting Devon A. Shane. Like, if he's active, he's in every single one of my lineups. I don't care what decision I have to make to a certain degree to bench somebody to fit him in. He's going into my lineups. Puka Nacua or Tank Dell. That's, I feel like, a really tough decision, but also one where I feel like you can't necessarily make a wrong decision. They both feel like excellent plays. So I'm probably just going to roll with the touchdown upside there, which I think belongs to Tank Dell. I understand that Puka Nacua probably more of like a safer floor in PPR, but man, Tank Dell's just been that guy. And even though Nico Collins is back and probably will be active today, Noah Brown, I think, will not be. And Noah Brown has had like 150 yards the last 2 games. So if you just divvy up a little bit of those yards and targets that Brown has had amongst Schultz, Dell, and Nico, I feel like it pushes up their floors a little bit. And Dell definitely feels like the safer PPR guy out of the 3. So I really like Tank Dell today. Jump into the comments. Just shout out Tyler Bradley. Good morning, Jack, and Fantasy Football Advice Network. Always with the fire emoji. Yeah, I bring the hot coffee and the flames on Sunday mornings. Flames. The flames are my lighter lighting up this bong toke that I'm about to take. I order all my weed in. Shout out to this one is Ganja Express, who I order with pretty consistently because they have great prices. This was an ounce Gary Payton that I got for I think it was 75 for the ounce, if I remember correctly. Pretty good stuff. More of a sativa to help keep me awake for these fucking streams. Which one should I pick up? Ty Chandler or Khalil Herbert? I mean, to pick up and stash, I think I would rather have Khalil Herbert, because if we see Justin Fields and DJ Moore and Khalil Herbert all of a sudden come back all this week and kind of start putting it together again like they were at the beginning of the season, down the stretch, that could end up being like league winner stuff. Whereas Ty Chandler, even though he had a nice game last week, I just don't see him having the same ceiling as Herbert when Herbert is healthy. Devon, A-Shane, Jalen Warren, JSN. That's so easy, A-Shane, for me. Like, that one is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's go to something more difficult, lemon difficult. Here's one. Tank Dell, Puka Nacua, Waddle, or Amari Cooper pick 3. I'm sitting Amari Cooper. With the Deshaun Watson injury, unfortunately, yeah, I got to go with sitting Cooper. So I'm rolling Dell, Nacua, and Waddle into my lineups. Shout out to Scotty Forrester in the comments coming in start Dotson or Brandon Cooks. Oh, it's hard to go away from Brandon Cooks after what we saw last week, but keep in mind that was literally the first game all year that Brandon Cooks saw more than like 5 or 6 targets, I think. However, he was getting touchdowns in the weeks before. Even before the bye, they were slowly getting him more involved. Obviously, that was like a monster game. And Jahan Dotson has been inconsistent. It hurts. I feel like the ceiling is with Dotson today, though. I have him in a few places where I'm probably going to go right back to it and throw him in my lineup. I do think Sam Howell is a nice play today. I have him in a couple best ball lineups. I like his upside. And yeah, it's the Gabe Davis thing, though. Gabe Davis threw up a goose egg last week, and I went right back to it, and it didn't work out for me. But it was still process the right decision, which fucking sucks sometimes, you know, in fantasy football. It's like logic, common sense, and matchup and everything dictates for you to basically lean Jahan Dotson here. I'm still struggling with it, but I think because if Cooks regresses to the norm and you get like a 4 for 60 in a touchdown game, does Jahan Dotson have the ability to beat that today against the Giants? And we got Tyler Bradley in the comments saying the key for Dotson is if Curtis Samuel is on the field. If Samuel plays, Dotson is irrelevant. That is true. Not irrelevant, but you can't rely on him in like any kind of consistent way. And then so that would tilt the decision for me to probably take the safer play. Curtis Samuel will be active. He's got a well, he should be anyways. He has a chance of returning to form this week, it says. I don't see him on he's been removed from the injury report, so he's gonna be a go. So yeah, if you're splitting it up that way, then I think I lean with Tyler here, and I'm actually going to go with Brandon Cooks with that added information. Just because it feels like, again, Brandon Cooks, you know, I know it's the big explosion week, but then, like I was saying, Just pull it up right here. Yeah, he kind of goosed you a little bit against Philly the week before, but then against the Rams, he had 3 for 49 and a touchdown, and then against the Chargers, he had 4 for 36 and a touch. So the other problem though is Carolina, are they even going to be able to push Dallas to throw around like they did last week against the Giants? Again, now the process, like, this is just everything is screaming like Brandon Cook's safe floor play. I'm going with Jahan Dotson. Fuck it. I'm going with the ceiling. I just don't see how Carolina is going to push Dallas into like some kind of crazy matchup. And even though Curtis Samuel is back and is probably going to usurp some touches from Dotson, no, I'm flipping it. I'm going with Dotson, actually. I'm going with the ceiling play, especially if your team is in any kind of shape or form, like, unless you're like the undefeated guy or like your top 2 seed and you're just like literally the rest of your lineup is Stack City and you're just looking to survive the week against the last place team, okay, fine. Throw in Brandon Cooks. But any kind of other scenario where you're looking for any kind of ceiling whatsoever, fuck it, let's go. I'm going with Jahan Dotson. Scotty Forrester coming in. Fuck it, let's fucking go. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about it. I hate playing the safe floor guys. Like, it's week 11, guys. We're trying to make the fucking playoffs here. So unless you're already sealed up, that is one thing that really affects my decisions is how good is my team? Like, I got a team right here. I'll give you a perfect example. I got a team that's 3-7 purely because I keep fucking it up, honestly. Like, I threw out Gabe Davis last week. I said the process was there. Everything was saying to start Gabe Davis, even though he had goosed the week before. And I threw him out over Trey McBride, and that ended up being the wrong decision in the flex, and that cost me the week again. Fucking stupid. But it's like, if it flips the other way, which it very easily could have because it's fantasy football, then, you're like, oh, I made the right decision. It's like, it's so fucking stupid sometimes. So in a situation like my 3-7 team, like, I would throw in the upside guy over the safe floor play, especially because like this week I'm facing a team that's 5-5. I need to beat them if I have any shot at making the playoffs, which, because this year's so fucked, I actually do in this league. I'm only 2 games back. But then meanwhile, I just flip over to my other home league here. I am one of the first place teams. I am facing the dude in last. He is 1-19. I am not trying to like make risky business decisions here. So, I'm just taking all my safe floor plays. That would be a situation where, yeah, okay, I'm going to throw Brandon Cooks into my lineup instead of a Jahan Dotson. That's like the only real way I'm comfortable with it. But again, you flip the scenario on me, you make me the 1-19 team. I'm definitely, why would I put the floor guy in? Like, put the fucking ceiling guy in and let's see what happens. All right, let's just keep crushing along here. Oh, need a flex. Ty Chandler, Rashee Rice, or Brandon Cooks. See, that's the situation where I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks because after the explosion last week, getting involved those couple weeks before also, that's where it's like I feel like the floor could easily drop out for a Ty Chandler. Hasn't been there for Rashee Rice all year, even in that Chiefs offense. Though he is the closest thing they have to a consistent wide receiver. He does kind of fill the Juju role, but I just can't bring myself to do it. So that's a situation where I'm going with Brandon Cooks. Okay, here's probably a hot question on a lot of people's minds. I have Joe Burrow in a super flex league where I am fighting to make the playoffs. So obviously I just lost Burrow. I won't have any replacements this good. Who should I roll with rest of season? Brock Purdy, Russell Wilson, or Baker Mayfield? And they also threw in Stafford. They could, I guess, get Stafford. So I'm going to rank, for me, it's Purdy is number 1. I mean, he's on the San Francisco offense. That's easy enough. I'm going to go Brock Purdy number 1. Baker Mayfield. I poo-pooed this man before the season. I really was down on the Bucs. I thought they potentially could be the last place team in their division, but they have been surprisingly good. And Baker Mayfield has been surprisingly good. And their schedule, rest of way, kind of mid, but they have, Indianapolis has gotten into some shootouts. They have a home game against Carolina, at Atlanta, at Green Bay, and then the playoffs, Jacksonville and New Orleans. So those are 2 home games, though. So I feel like Baker kind of has a safe-ish floor. He's been giving you, consistently like 20-ish fantasy points a week. Last 3 weeks in a row, he's had 2 touchdowns in each of his games. It's crazy that Baker Mayfield, like I said, is getting it done. But I mean, he's got weapons. They're still healthy. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Baker Mayfield, I think. And then, the rest. Matt Stafford is the other one that's kind of interesting to me, though. He could easily, go right back to crushing 300-yard games. He just doesn't really get a lot of touchdowns this year, it feels like. All right, we'll jump around a little bit. Here we go. Ooh, flex, Ty Chandler, Nico Collins, or Trey McBride. So a lot of Ty Chandler questions popping up. That seems to definitely be a theme. Let's go look in on Alexander Mattison. Because it feels like, I don't think he's out. Oh, no, he is definitely... Yeah, Alexander Mattison likely to suit up versus Denver. So regardless of what you think of Alexander Mattison, he was ruled out. It felt like he got benched, but then, he also was ruled out with a concussion. And, Ty Chandler, even though he had the touchdown, he had 15 carries on 45 yards. Or 45 yards on 15 carries. That's not, like, good or efficient. So I don't think Ty Chandler is like the answer. I got to go with Trey McBride there. This is literally what fucked me over last week was that I didn't put McBride in my flex when that was absolutely the right answer. He's getting the volume. Now, the only thing is, could the bones of Zach Ertz come back and fuck things up for Trey McBride? Oh, no. He's moving to IR, it says. So that is good. Or how long ago was that? Oh, that's a month ago now. And there's no news at all of him coming back from IR. But it's been 4 weeks. Well, it doesn't seem like there's any news. I doubt it would happen this week. So, yeah, I'm going to say that, Ertz is still out. And as long as he stays out, Trey McBride's getting all that work at the tight end position. So, yeah, I'm rolling with Trey McBride in the flex. Take a little moment here. I'm just going to hit on a general topic because, I'm answering lots of start-sit questions. But, hey, if you guys out there listening have any other kind of questions, like league ethics or, commissioner stuff, trades, fucking anything, hell, if you want to just ask a general life question, feel free, go right ahead. I'm not just here to, hit on the start sits all day, though I will do that if that's the only questions that come in. But one thing I wanted to talk about is just the veto is coming. It's rearing its ugly head this time of year. And maybe it's because I'm in a lot of Facebook groups and I see a lot more of those questions over there. But I have been seeing a lot of veto questions that are basically in the same mold of, X team is in last place or close to last place, and they're making a trade with, team that is, in first or second place. And it feels like the team in first or second is like getting better in the trade. It's like, well, first of all, let me put it just like in my own perspective and from my own opinion, because obviously it's different per league and it's different per commissioner. The way that I run my leagues, okay, I do the Thanos rule, is what I call it. So when I start a league, I am the commissioner. This is my league, and I will run it how I fucking see fit. Now, does that mean that I'm going to do a bunch of shit to give myself an unfair advantage to win? No. Actually, for me, it means quite the opposite. So just like, deep dive into my own personality, I am so competitive that I will teach my opponent everything I can to try and make them better so that they can try to beat me, because I want to play against the best of the best. Especially like for stuff like fantasy football, like dudes in my league could be starting against me. They will ask me like, who should I start this week? I will tell them I'll be like, hey, you're facing me and I shouldn't tell you this, but you should be starting XYZ player. You should be making these moves. You should be doing this to make yourself better. And if it works out for you, great. But I think I'm so fucking good and the team that I've built is so good that I will overcome anything that you do. And I've always felt that way in sports in general. Like when I played football, which I've talked about intermittently, I want to just clarify again. I played in Canada at a very low level. If I had lived in America, I would not have been a bench warmer. All right. But I did, because of where I grew up, get the chance to play. And the thing that made me better than everybody else, in terms of like the colleagues that I was playing with, which obviously was a bunch of other Canadian kids, the thing that made me bet the best on my team wasn't that I was the fastest or the strongest. It was just literally processing plays and being able to like do that at such an efficient and high level, better than everybody else on the team, to the point of our offense only had 6 plays total, because really the quarterback that was running things, that's all he could handle. I was the one that was actually like calling the plays and making sure everyone was in place. He wasn't doing a lot of that shit. He wasn't doing audibles. He couldn't do most of that stuff because he just didn't understand the game. So I was running a lot of that as like an offensive lineman out of the huddle. And then on the other side of the ball, though, I played middle linebacker. So our defense had fucking like 20 plays. We were playing literally like NFL style defenses with fucking blitzing options and all kinds of shit because I was running it. I was just being in the middle. I was like just pointing my guys where they needed to go, pointing things out. Like you couldn't pull fucking audibles and that kind of bullshit with me on the field. Like I knew exactly what was going on. So it was just dissecting the plays. And again, we're talking about a super basic high school level. The other team also is running fucking 6 plays. I could figure out those 6 plays by the end of the first quarter and know their whole fucking playbook and just be like, hey, this is what they're running, guys. So let's just do this. Like it was that easy. So, this is getting all the way from, just the idea of like, I would try and teach, my teammates and people I would be going against. I'd be like, hey, like, this is what I see. This is what I'm doing. And I did that in wrestling too. When I wrestled, again, wasn't the best because I was the strongest or the fastest. I just picked up on techniques really fast. I could get the idea of the fluidity of the motion and how to perform the technique. And then teaching technique and translating that became very easy and secondhand for me. And I would do that to my opponents. So this is, again, very long-winded way of saying that when I run my leagues, I do it and design it in a way that like I want to maximize the competitiveness of the league. And so, that makes it more fun. And the other thing is, it's funny because like in my real life, I don't feel like I'm a stickler for the rules in terms of like, how the world is designed. But when it comes to games, that is something where I'm like, look, if you're going to play a game, unless you have specifically outlined before we have started that this is like literally just for fun and, don't take it serious and there's nothing on the line and like you have really outlined everything that way, then fine, we can play that game. But if you want to play any kind of game, whether it's a board game, a card game, or fantasy football, the rules are ultimately what make the game. And it's what makes the game fun. It's being able to play within and manipulate said rules to a degree that you are creating skill and advantages that otherwise would not be there, because then it really would be just totally fucking random luck based. That's the whole idea of skill behind fantasy football, is creating those advantages. So if you are usurping that in a way, which is basically cheating, obviously, so that you can make it so rig it so that you can win, that's obviously stupid and bad from like a very beginning standpoint. Now, again, getting super kind of long-winded and away from the original point of the veto. I've been seeing tons and tons and tons of veto shit. The original example when I started this long-winded paragraph was the idea of a last place team trading with a first place team, or a last place team making waiver acquisitions this time of year and doing that kind of shit. So the first thing I will say is your league set up for that? That's on the commissioner ultimately. If they don't want teams still trying at this point in the year, then they should most apps have it so you can lock eliminated teams. As soon as you're eliminated from the playoffs, you can't make moves or trades or whatever. Some leagues have earlier trade deadlines also that have already passed. Some it's this week, some it's next week. But then I'll give you an example. My main home league, which shout out to Tyler Bradley in the comments, he is in. If you finish in last in the toilet bowl, not last in the standings, last in playoffs in the toilet bowl, like if you lose the toilet bowl, you are out. You are exiled for 1 year. The idea being that, and you can, after that 1 year, like you can come back into the league. But the idea being that like the punishment has to be so extreme that you are forced to keep playing if your team sucks dog balls in week 11. So unfortunately for Tyler in that league, and I'll shout him out actually first, that in the Dynasty League that we're in together, 16-man Dynasty, even though my team is an absolute juggernaut and leading in points, Tyler is undefeated. So let's start there. He is undefeated in the Dynasty League. I have to start there so that I can say that he's getting his ass absolutely handed to him in this league that I'm talking about, my main home league. He's the one that is in last place. I'm also struggling very badly in that league. So it's not like either of us are doing well in that league. It's a very hard and competitive league to be in. I've designed it that way. I've literally gone over the last couple of years out of my way to bring in competitive managers. I've done things like, politely excuse people that didn't feel like we're up to the level of that particular league. So again, he's in last place. If he wants to make a trade or go do waivers or go do anything right now, he is 100% within his right to do so, because you have to keep trying in that league. You do not get a pass just because your team sucks. So as a commissioner, if he makes a team with the guy in first place, I'm not going to be like, oh, you can't make that trade. And again, that leads into the next thing that I really want to focus on, which is stop evaluating the players in the trade. Okay. I made a trade earlier this year, Josh Allen and Drake London for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I won that trade for like 2 weeks. Then I lost that trade for like 3 weeks. And now I'm back to winning that trade for the rest of the year. Fantasy football is fucking stupid. Okay. So stop trying to regulate like, well, I think this is making this, these players are too good. But look, these are grown human beings that you have ultimately given the power to make the decision to run their teams how they see fit. If I want to trade fucking Tony Pollard straight up for Jerome Ford right now, that's a good deal. I don't give a shit what anyone says. That's going to be a good deal for the whoever's getting Jerome Ford. That's how crazy fantasy football can be. Now in Dynasty, let's take everything I'm saying. I'm talking about like redraft leagues, even keeper leagues where it's like 3 keeper and none of these players are involved in your keepers. Those style leagues as well. Same thing. If you want to go out and trade a Tony Pollard because you really think Jerome Ford is going to finish with more fantasy points for the rest of the season and win your redraft league, then you are well within your fucking rights to do it. And there's no reason that the league or the commissioner should veto that trade. That's bullshit. So there's all kinds of random situations like that. So if you are a commissioner out there, just saying, number one, make sure that the league ethics and integrity and competitiveness are like the number one thing, because that will lead to everyone having the most fun. The leagues that are managed in that way are always usually the best leagues. They end up being a lot of times also more communicative. You get more trades happening, you get more flow of conversation. Everything is better in those style of leagues. And then the next thing is all fucking trades basically should go through unless you can absolutely like prove collusion. So, I used to play with my best friend and his wife, and every year they would make the fucking annual collusion trade is what I called it, which is like he would send all his bench players for her best players, and it would tilt the league. And I was like, I couldn't deal with that shit anymore. That's collusion. All right. Barring situations like that, fucking put them through. All right. Jumping back into comments. Bryce Ridley, shout out to you. Full PPR. Aaron Jones or Kenneth Walker today? Ooh, I think I'm rolling with Kenneth Walker. He showed basically that he was back to like full-ish health last week. And, the Rams defense is not, aside from Aaron Donald, like the rest of it definitely is not what it used to be. And that game, I feel like, presents its higher scoring, though. They do tend to like get into more passing stuff, but man, he had that one. He ripped off that 64-yard reception for the touch. Otherwise, yeah, it was inefficient, 19 for 63. But the fact that he had the 19 carries, to me, that feels like he's back to his full workload. And when we saw that at the beginning of the season, it was just every week was just touchdowns or 100-yard game. So I think I'm going right back into the Flames with Kenneth Walker, even though I don't hate Aaron Jones, but yeah, that Chargers matchup is kind of tasty. It's been real gross for Aaron Jones. It feels like he really needs to be more involved in the receiving game, but he's not because it's Jordan Love. And, he's splitting it with Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson's targets that he's not catching. Fuck. Yeah, I think I'm rolling with Kenneth Walker. That just feels like a safer option. Blurpy in the comments. Just got offered Pollard and Taysom Hill for McBride and Singletary. Do I take that? So that to me is, I really am very close. I kind of want that. The problem is Singletary, because that he's going to lose value as soon as Dameon Pierce comes back. The coach has said it as much, that he will not see all the carries when it's just him. This is like, if I could get McBride and Ford, boom, slam all day, every day. I don't know about giving up Pollard and Taysom for McBride and Singletary. If you could get, who's been super disappointing, and I could see it, like if you could get a Najee Harris instead, a Jerome Ford instead. If you can get, someone a little bit more dependable and reliable than Singletary, oh, you'd be getting Hill and Pollard in this situation. So you're trading away. Okay, I see. And you have Jake Ferguson. So sorry, just let's go because the way I understood it, Blurpy was the one that would be trading away. Okay, let's see. So let's see. Blurpy here is the one that would be getting Pollard and Taysom Hill. He would be sending away McBride and Singletary, and he would still have Jake Ferguson as another tight end. So yeah, I like that. Even though Pollard has really struggled this year, he could theoretically turn it around. I think the thing is that I expect the drop off from Singletary the moment Dameon Pierce comes back. And Taysom has, even though McBride's been awesome, Taysom has spike weeks that match it. And I like Jake Ferguson a lot. Yeah, I think I would do that. I think I would take the shot on Pollard because it feels like even I didn't expect him to be this underwhelming. I had him on my bust list, but let's go take a look. I mean, the next three matchups: Carolina, Washington, Seattle. Ugh. But then the slog after of Philly, Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit. He is still getting, 12. That's the problem. He only got 15 carries last week and 12 the week before with 3 receptions, so 15. He's only averaging like 15 touches a game since the bye week. But that might just be because they've been really focused on the passing. Oh. It's tough for me to give up McBride. You know what I would actually do in there? I would maybe, I don't know if he would take it though. I actually, you know what I would counter. Here's what I would do: drop Taysom Hill entirely because I have Taysom in the league. And it's hard to know when to start. You just kind of have to shove him in your lineup and hope. I would counter with Ferguson and Singletary. Yeah. Oh, already tried that. Yeah, if I could give him Ferguson and Singletary and just take out Taysom Hill entirely and just say, hey, look, Fergie and Singletary for Pollard, I would do that. Otherwise, I think I would just hold on McBride. I think that's the one I'm really struggling with is I don't want to give up McBride. I don't know when Zach Ertz is coming back or how effective he will be, but it feels like Trey McBride is actually the number one in that offense right now, even above Hollywood Brown. So I really like Trey McBride the rest of the season. I think that's what I'm doing. I would be like, hey, look, I'll give you Fergie and Singletary for Pollard. Forget Taysom. I don't need him. And if you don't want it, then, I appreciate it, but I'll just walk. And I might, try and go see if, again, Jerome Ford, I'd be really targeting. Yeah, that fucking late bye for the Cardinals. Week 14 bye week for McBride. Yeah. I mean, you stream. Oh, yeah, that's so stupid. What the fuck did the NFL do with the schedule? You know what's funny? I've been dealing with that with hockey, random aside. The NHL schedule this year is just dog fucked. Like, I don't know what they did. They're just like, this week coming up, there's 2 days that just don't have any games at all. They're just like, fuck it. We're going to take Tuesday and Thursday off. Thursday I get for because it's American Thanksgiving and we kind of forget about that up here. But Tuesday, why the fuck are you taking Tuesday off? Anyways, NFL did kind of the same thing. They just really fucked up bye weeks. So just like we had that random week where it was like 6 teams and then they got the week 14 bye. Like, what the fuck were they doing? Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it that way and you're just trying to dump that bye week and also Singletary is going to lose his value and you have Ferguson, all right, yeah, I think I probably would take the Taysom Hill Pollard trade as is. But and then really hope that Pollard can kind of get it together, because he was getting it done with, gross volume in the beginning, but it hasn't been there. Mike McCarthy's offense and Schottenheimer's offense too is kind of a problem, because they just want to run him up the center's ass. What is this? Pick 3 PPR. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Puka, Nico, or Mike Evans. I sit Nico. Nico Collins could absolutely explode this week, though. Here's one. Aaron Jones versus Chargers, or Jerome Ford versus the Steelers. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think I would go with Aaron Jones. I really love Jerome Ford, though, guys. If there's one piece of advice you can pull from this Sunday Live, go trade for Jerome Ford in all of your leagues. They just lost the quarterback. You know they're going to lean on the run. Ford, last week, 17 for 107. The week before, 20 for 44 and 5 for 33. He's getting like the work. He's getting that Nick Chubb work. And even though Kareem Hunt's getting work too, there's enough for both of them to eat. And you look at this schedule coming up, guys. Home against Pittsburgh this week, and then at Denver, at Rams, Jacksonville, and then your championship weeks 15, 16, 17. Home, Chicago, at Houston, and then Jets. And the Jets defense, like, they actually do give it up to the run. They're really great against the pass, but they give it up to the run. So I'm telling you guys, Jerome Ford and even Kareem Hunt, like, both trade targets, heavy trade targets right now. Blurpy coming back. I could also trade for Laporta or something too. He has Kelsey. So yeah, if he has Kelsey and you could get, if you could get Pollard and Laporta for McBride and Singletary, I would do that for sure. I would much prefer that. Laporta is much more consistent than Taysom Hill. Even though Taysom Hill's spike weeks are higher, you just don't know when those are going to come. So you just kind of, and the other thing too is those were a lot of packages they were doing with Derek Carr. We'll see how much they still include them if it's Jameis Winston out there for any length of time. All right. What else we got here? Should I trade DeAndre Swift for Tua if I lost Burrow? Depends who your other running backs are. So I was having like a whole debate in Dynasty yesterday with a guy in my Dynasty league. He's really savvy, and he's turned his team around. He's one of the better teams in the league. But I was looking at his team, and in my mind, Amari Cooper and Garrett Wilson rest of season are rough because of the quarterbacks. And now Garrett Wilson dealing with some nagging injuries. We'll see if that slows him down. He's been kind of like still getting it done with gross PPR volume, but that upside ceiling of like the Garrett Wilson breakout season is not it. I knew it wasn't going to be there the moment Rodgers went down, which sucked. But it's not going to be there at any point in time. So if you have the ability to eat it, like you have other good running backs, then fine. So in that situation, now granted, this is really deep dynasty rosters, but the person I'm thinking of, they had Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, and then they had Ken Walker, and I'm forgetting the other one, but it was like another decent running back option. Let's just pretend it's like Brian Robinson or something. So they had 4 startable running backs that most weeks were going to start over a DeAndre Swift. And I was looking at their receivers like, okay, yeah, you got Keenan and God, now I'm forgetting the other really good person they had. But they had 2 really good wide receiver and then kind of a drop off in my mind where it was like Hollywood and then like Garrett Wilson and what's his face I was just talking about, where like obviously in Amari Cooper, where in Dynasty they're still kind of fine, but obviously for the rest of this year, quarterback situation being what it is, they're not going to be very good, I feel like. And he's a contending team. So in my mind, I was like, okay, let me try and get your 5th best running back for a wide receiver who has a longer shelf life in Dynasty, Nico Collins, straight up for DeAndre Swift. I was like, let's see. And he we got into kind of a little tiff of who was more valuable and ultimately, the fact that he had those running backs to spare, if he had been the Burrow owner and that's a super flex league and he's trying to get a quarterback, even if it's single quarterback and it's deep enough that there's not really any good options on waivers, like I would make that trade if I had the running backs to do it. Now, if DeAndre Swift is like the RB2 on your team, he's the second best running back on your team, you can't make that trade. You're gonna have to just roll with whoever is on waivers at the quarterback position. Oh, here's a good one. Kyler Murray versus Houston or Sam Howell versus the Giants. I'm going with Sam Howell. Kyler Murray, I get it. He's excellent, but he's just coming back. It's the Houston defense, a little bit better than we think. Kyler had the one touchdown on the ground last week, but otherwise completed 19 of 32 for 249 and had the interception. So I don't think Kyler's just walking back into 30, 40-point games. But Sam Howell has been doing it every fucking week. And you look here. Yeah, 33 points last week against Seattle. He had 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. Week before that, didn't get all the touchdowns, but he had 325 yards. So he only had 19 points against, and that was at New England. But then home against Philly, had a 40-burger, 397 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, you just got to stay in the flames with Sam Howell right now. Dude's got he's got 8 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He's throwing 300 yards every single game. Yeah, Sam Howell. And the Giants. Like, you just saw the Giants get eviscerated by the Cowboys. It would be very NFL-like for this to turn into like a super stupid, gross 15 to 13-point game, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Shout out to Eric Schaefer in the comments. Damn, bro, get it. PPR, start Rachaad White or DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, or Jalen Waddle. Ugh, oh, man. I would sit Rachaad White in that situation. So, like, I'm not just blindly sitting Rachaad White, but given that it's a road matchup against San Fran, they could definitely get shut down. That is a real possibility. And I don't see any possibility besides, like, injury where Jalen Waddle isn't doing shit today. The Raiders' defense has been better with Antonio Pierce. I don't think they're so much better that they're going to slow down the Dolphins. I think Tyreek, Achane, Mostert, Waddle, like I'm trying to get all of them into my lineup. So I think Waddle has the most upside. I do like Scary Terry today because of that Giants mashup. Honestly, I have both Waddle and Scary Terry above Rachaad White in a full PPR format. Like in my mind of like who would I play in the flex? I would play both of those guys. The only one, because even DK Metcalf, everyone's acting like DK Metcalf is washed and he was fucking terrible last week. He had 7 for 97. Can we fucking calm down on NFL players if they don't have 150 and 2 touchdowns? It doesn't mean that they're fucking washed or terrible. Sometimes it just is what it is. These are fucking 90th percentile human beings playing against other 90th percentile human beings where like literally 0.1 of a second can make a fucking difference of whether or not you are successful in this league or not. And yeah, it's been kind of a rough season overall, I guess, for DK Metcalf. But again, when you're coming off a 7 for 97 game and people are acting like you just fucking put up a goose like you're Gabe Davis, get the whole fuck out of here. So Jalen Waddle, I'm rolling with Jalen Waddle is my answer. Dylan Fink. A couple of start sit full PPR questions. Number one, start one in the flex, Hollywood or McBride? Ooh, I'm going with McBride. If it's full PPR, and especially, I don't know that it is, probably not every league is, but if there is a tight end premium, then 100% I would go with McBride. But McBride just generally right now feels like the safer PPR floor play. So I think I'm rolling with him. Next question. Connor, Shane, Waddle. Ooh, fuck. Why'd you have to say Waddle? I really like Shane and Waddle. I'd be trying to get both in my lineup. I love James Conner too, but Devon Shane is, if he gets you 0 points, it is still the right answer because he is the only one out of all the ones you said that could go out there and legit just pop off for 40, 50 and only needs like 10 fucking touches to do it. So if he's back, and I assume that like if they activated him off IR and they're dressing him for this game, assuming that he is back, yeah, he's going right back into all of my lineups above like 95% of whatever names you want to throw at me. The only one that gave me cause for pause is Waddle in the same game because I think he's going to have a really good game too. And then his next question was to pick one quarterback, Stroud or Fields. My man, I have in my home league the exact same two quarterbacks. And today, I've been going back and forth all week. Today, I said, fuck it, I'm going with Fields. This is a 3-7 team. I just feel like Stroud is going to have a good game, but I don't know why. Something about Arizona's defense has been kind of not terrible all year, and they've kind of kept these to like, more like 25, 23 scoring type matchups, those like mid-20 type games. I don't know what it is, but I'm just feeling, I'm like, fuck it, I need to roll the dice. I'm going with Fields. So if you need that upside like I do, I'm going with Fields today. I'm making the same decision and possibly the same mistake. So let's make it together. Fucking, I'm Jack holding Rose, Dylan Fink on the fucking Titanic saying, start Justin Fields. And then Connor, Ford, or Singletary. Waddle, I get one RB and I get one flex. So Ford's going in my lineup. Actually, no. You know what? James Conner's going in my lineup as the RB, and Ford is going in my flex. I just feel like if they have a chance against Pittsburgh and our defense I feel like our defense is overrated. Like, yeah, they're the only reason we're winning, but we can be had. No. I'm actually gonna go Connor. I'm going Connor because I like that Houston matchup. And if it does end up in the kind of game script that I'm thinking, I feel like could potentially be more valuable. So I'm going to actually roll with Connor and Waddle. Final answer. And then also, do we still like my Ravens to contend this year without Mark Andrews? I'm a Ravens fan, born in blood. First year, I've seen us have solid wide receivers and solid backup tight ends, so time to step up. Health is important too. Still from Dylan Fink, shout out in the comments. Hey, I'm a Steelers fan, so I hope your season's shot. But no, in all reality, the way that it works for Steelers fans, I think this is true for like most Steelers fans, is we respect the Ravens. We admire the Browns as like a little brother and almost kind of secretly root for them as underdogs. And then we just fucking hate the Bengals. That's how it is for me. It's how it is for my dad. It's how it is for most Steelers fans that I've ever talked to. It's really like, yeah, the Ravens, if we weren't Steelers fans, it feels like we would be Ravens fans because it is that blue collar mantra, that defense first, tough minded mentality that's just admirable. So, yeah, I think, in a world that I had not been born a Steelers fan, I might have turned into a Ravens fan, especially because Lamar Jackson is actually like my favorite player in the league. Like, remove the teams and the jerseys. I just love Lamar Jackson and the way he plays. He is electric. So he's my favorite quarterback. He's my favorite player to watch. So I really love Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I probably would be a Ravens fan. But you said yourself, you got solid backup tight end. Isaiah Likely is 100% capable of coming in and being a starting tight end. This is now, I think, his third season in the league, I want to say. Maybe his fourth, but I'm pretty sure it's his third season in the league. So he is starting to ascend, and he's shown flashes in the past. For fantasy, if I'm the Mark Andrews owner, I would be actively trying to pick up Isaiah Likely. He's probably on a lot of waivers, and I already have bids on him in some places. So I really like Isaiah Likely, and I still think that the Ravens are far and away the best team in the AFC North right now. Because the Browns and the Bengals both just lost their starting quarterbacks, which is much more important than the tight end. And the Steelers are fucking bullshit, man. Like, Kenny Pickett is not it. Our offense is not it. Like, we can win by like slugging it out in gross defensive matchups. That's kind of what we do. But man, we haven't been over like 400 yards in fucking like 3 years or something like that. We are terrible. We are dog shit on offense. And I don't care that our run game even has been a little bit better the last couple of weeks. Like that's the only saving grace that we would even have is if we were to go back to like more of an old school Pittsburgh Steelers power offense and just run the shit out of the ball. But they're not even really doing that. They kind of do that in faux, where it feels like because Najee got 16 and Jalen Warren got 11, but it's like that's 27 carries in a game for a Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Why the fuck is Kenny Pickett throwing this damn ball more than fucking 25 times a game? He sucks. Take the fucking ball out of his hands, run the air out of the ball. Najee should have 20 carries a game. Jalen Warren should have 15 carries a game. Should be like that every fucking game. Like, and then they should also have like most of the receptions because like Kenny Pickett just he's bad, but he's made worse by being in a Matt Canada offense. Because what Matt Canada wants him to be able to do is turn into late stage Ben Roethlisberger and win on shitty out routes and stupid shotgun formations with fucking terrible jet sweeps and a bunch of bullshit that really just fucks up your young offensive line and your young quarterback. Oh, I gotta take a choke because talking about the fucking Steelers makes me so angry. But yeah, the Ravens are easily the best team in that division. They're gonna make the playoffs, and they're gonna lose to probably the Chiefs because obviously, Mahomes and Kelsey are still absolutely ruling the AFC. I don't think anything has changed at all. If anything, Buffalo and Cincinnati have fallen off to the point that who's the next best team in the AFC? It probably is the Ravens. And I don't really see the Ravens beating the Chiefs. It is what it is. Maybe if they're at home. That is maybe the only way I could see it happening is if the Ravens are at home, because that defense is legit this year, and they're not as injured and banged up as they have been in the past. So I would still be very optimistic about the Ravens for the rest of the season. Hey. All right, we'll answer a few more questions, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here. Jalen Warren or Trey McBride in the flex full PPR. That is very easily Trey McBride for me. What's everyone's opinion on Quentin Johnston rest of season? That's my opinion, literally. He's a spot starter. You throw him in plus matchups and temper expectations. Jalen Guyton, Josh Palmer, fucking Donald Parham, any one of these guys, any time is legitimate competition for Quentin Johnston. That entire offense essentially goes through Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. Now, if at any point in the season Keenan Allen were to miss time, now we're talking like forced volume. But he's low-level wide receiver 3, flex play, spot start, rest of the way. Yeah, Jerome Ford, he did put up 24 points against the Steelers, huh? Justin Herbert or Jared Goff? I would actually go with Goff at home because he has legit home road splits. Now, last week I thought he would be a little bit worse on the road, and he was a lot better than I expected. Hopefully that doesn't flip this week where he kind of takes this week off. But no, usually Jared Goff is like solid as fuck at home. And Herbert, it was awesome last week, but it hasn't quite been to the level that I expected. I thought he was going to walk into an easy 5K this year. Like, I thought Quentin Johnson would be more than he was, and even if he wasn't, you still had Josh Palmer, you still had guys like Jalen Guyton and Gerald Everett floating around. But I just expected Eckler, I feel like, to be still better than he's been. And yeah, Keenan Allen's been awesome, but like the Mike Williams injury really affected this team, which I feel like they maybe should have even targeted more wide receivers in the draft. If I was the Chargers, that's kind of what I would have done, is just like go crazy with drafting wide receivers, but they didn't really take that route. They got QJ, but that was it. Yeah. Ooh, here's a good one. Dynasty League trade. Devon Achane in a first round. So they're sending Devon Achane in a first rounder to receive Kareem Hunt and Austin Eckler. Yeah, no fucking way. Are you kidding me? Devon Achane right now is like, in my mind, yeah, he's smaller and injury prone. Every running back is injury prone. When he's on that field, he is Tyreek Hill at the running back position. He is fucking the most electric player potentially in the entire NFL, and he is in his rookie season. If he comes in next year with a more firm grip on the starting job and pops off for 2,000 yards, is like all purpose, is anybody going to be that surprised? And a first rounder? And Austin Eckler, who, as much as I love Austin Eckler, but for dynasty purposes, he is already like 28. He's going to be going on 29 next year, I think. Let's see. Yeah, he's 28, so he'll be 29 next year. Fuck that. No way. And Kareem Hunt is he's not like a solid dynasty asset by any means. So the fact that you have to give up Achane, who is already in my mind like one of the most electric assets in the NFL, and a first rounder, like the only way I would make that trade is if it was to get back CMC, literally. Like that's or if it's a wide, like I'm doing it to get Tyreek or maybe like even Justin Jefferson right now. Would you really want to make that trade for the rest of the season? Maybe, because Josh Dobbs is better than we thought and he can maybe sustain Justin Jefferson. And, long-term dynasty, obviously, I feel like Justin Jefferson is still better than Achane in that first rounder. So maybe that's an avenue that you explore. But it's like, it has to be that level for me. Like it's CMC, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. You could, if you're like, you have Achane in that first rounder on maybe a losing team. And so you're going to say, but that maybe the first rounder isn't yours or, whatever. That's the other thing. What if that first rounder, if you're the losing team and you come in last, what if it turns into the 101 or the 102? So you're telling me that you're going to trade Achane and, potentially like what, Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr. for Hunt and Eckler? Fuck that noise. In Dynasty? No way. No way. All right, who should I start this week? Zay Flowers versus Bengals or Latavius Murray versus Jets? Oh, that's the old one. Well, fucking yeet that into the space and time continuum. All right. That means I made it to the end of the questions for the Fantasy Football Advice Network message board on Messenger Q&A. So shout out to them. I'm going to check in on the actual website real quick, and then I'm going to dip all the way out of here, like I said. Should I trade Chase? Oh, here we go. Rest of season. Should I trade Jamar Chase for DJ Moore and Christian Kirk? So in redraft, obviously, with Burrow out, his ceiling is going to be limited, and with Fields back, I feel like DJ Moore's ceiling has just shot through the roof again. So, and I like Christian Kirk. He's kind of the best asset to own on the Jaguars. So yeah, I would make that trade and redraft. Dolphins or Steelers defense? Steelers defense. Absolutely Steelers defense. Dolphins are going to, the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders are kind of a better offense, I think, than people think. So I would definitely be starting Steelers defense against, it's like they're going to get DTR or fucking that other dude from the XFL. I can't even remember his name right now. PJ Walker or whatever the hell his name is. Bottom line is they're going to feast on the quarterback. Now, granted, the running backs could still get work and score points and it doesn't matter. Sacks, baby, sacks. They're going to get sacks and probably turnovers, I would imagine. So, yeah, Steelers defense. Should you trade Aaron Jones from Michael Pittman? I mean, I wouldn't. I feel like Aaron Jones is going to get better as the season continues if he continues to get healthy. And with running backs being the state that they are, and so the supply and demand right now of running backs is fucking rough. So I would stick with Aaron Jones there, I think. Oh man. Trade advice. I was offered Tank Dell and Sam Laporta for Bijan Robinson. Should I accept? First of all, it just says for him, it says I accepted. So I'm just going to say he took that trade. Me personally, I don't think I could do it. And that's kind of the problem with Bijan Robinson and why I had him potentially on my bust list at the beginning of the year was the capital you were going to have to spend on him if he didn't have literally like rookie record season, it wasn't going to pay off. And that was the reason I didn't want to draft him. And then now you kind of get that sunk cost fallacy of like, I can't trade away my first pick and my probably like talent wise, my best running back for Sam Laporta and Tank Dell. I'm assuming it's full redraft, but like, I fucking hate that trade. Like if you just really badly needed a wide receiver and tight end, and you also just happen to have like a bunch of other stud running backs that you got later or traded for, then fine. But yeah, no, that one sucks. Fuck you, Arthur Smith. All right, last question of the day. My boy Raphael Quinton coming in late. Mostert or Rashee Rice? Mostert, easily Mostert. He definitely has the most upside between those two. And I feel like he's off injury report and it's kind of like sneaky. People aren't really thinking about Mostert today. With Devon Achane coming back. Yeah, no, see, it's sleepers kind of, almost like wilding out. Raheem Mostert may take a step back in week 11. Why? It says right here, Miami Dolphins running back Raheem Mostert was removed from the injury report on Friday, even though he's been dealing with knee and ankle issue. So see, and they're like, oh, well, Devon Achane. Remember last time they played together, Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert? They were like the number 1 and number 2 running back on the week. Fuck yeah, Mostert right into your lineup all day over Rice. Hell, I would start Mostert over most options most like normal running back options today. Here's one. I would start him over Darrell Henderson. I would start him over Najee Harris. I would start him over Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, what's the bar? Like CMC, obviously, but like I would start him over Pollard. I would start him over either Panthers running back. As much as I love Jerome Ford, and Jerome Ford kicked the shit out of the Steelers last time, I would probably still start. That one's kind of close. Mostert and Ford, I feel like. I would start him over Singletary. I would start him over Fuck, I would start him over Derrick Henry. That's crazy to say, but yeah, I would start Mostert over all those guys. I would start him over Saquon. I would start him over Rashad White. I would start him over James Cook. Yeah. I would start him over both Vikings running backs. I would start him over probably Javonte Williams even. Yeah, to me, it's like literally like almost fucking like 90% of the league. I would be starting Raheem Mostert if he's healthy. You take that chance. That's the thing is like even if it's wrong, and you get the 0, it's like fuck that sucked. But like I would rather be wrong with the 0 in my lineup than be wrong with the 40 points on my bench. And on that note, ran 10 minutes over today. I appreciate everybody in the comments and everybody out there listening. So shout out Raphael Quinton, Dylan Fink, Eric Schaefer, Blurpy, Bryce Ridley, my guy, Tyler Bradley, Scotty Forrester, and the Fantasy Football Advice Network for everybody providing questions in that group chat and just everybody on the network. Thank you guys. And make sure that you guys tune in tomorrow for Monday Mayhem. I'll be coming in with the reaction show. Make sure you tune in to Wildcard Wednesday. Those are always my favorite shows where I get to interview other content creators. And then we'll be coming in with the rest of the week, Thursday Thriller, and another Sunday live stream next week. So if you have made it this far, make sure that you super kick that subscribe button, fucking punch that bell out, and I will catch all you guys on the flip side.
He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man. Here comes